So Marco participated in the 3-day deal sprint that we hosted, the LeadDeck 3-day deal sprint, a couple of weeks ago. That has now been turned into an on-demand process or challenge that anyone signing up can immediately plug into. We are also doing a new sprint, 3-day sprint, starting February 23rd. It's an absentee owner listing sprint. Marco participated in the first one, and the idea was taking my 3-step blueprint and imagining you're starting from scratch in a new market and you have nothing other than a laptop, your phone, LeadDeck, and maybe the MLS. Maybe, because I don't even know that you would need that. Marco emailed me last night, and I thought there was some good stuff in here, so I thought I'd share. I participated in the 3-day sprint. I made a total of 4 offers. Now, I need to clarify exactly what he means from this and where some of this comes from, which I just haven't gotten that from him yet. But there's other stuff in here that'll be useful and helpful. I made a total of 4 offers. 1 was an old motivated seller lead, so I think that was somebody already in his database. 3 are new motivated leads from a new mail out campaign I just launched. And there's clarity here, but I'm curious, like how many pieces of mail, what was the target, etc. Nonetheless, one person responded and stated that if he gets the check for exactly the amount of the best Zoodealio offer, we have a deal. I plan on meeting him tomorrow or Friday to look at the house and explain how the process works. Seems like I need to explain the 2-step offer better. Any pointers on how to tackle and prepare for this meeting? If you have any recorded video, etc. So I said, this is fantastic. Can you confirm exactly? Again, I'm running around. It's later in the day. My brain's not working as well. And when I read it a few more times, then I connected the dots. He said he expects to net 266 or 244 in one shot. In other words, single close, he wants this amount. I called him and made an appointment for Friday, planted the seed that this offer was from an institutional buyer. So when I meet him, I'll explain in details the process. I would not explain in detail. I would give him enough information that you can start to connect the dots. But all we're trying to do in this first appointment, we're not trying to win the deal on the first appointment. In this scenario, it's a process, not an event. So on Friday, I recommended get photos and details so that you can submit for a final offer, which he could submit with Zoodealio or ZoomCasa or QuickBuy. And then he said, so take pictures while I'm there and ask him to accept the offer. I said, no, we're not accepting anything right now. I am here to verify information about the property and get photos so we can get you a final offer and confirm we can get you the number you need for this to make sense for you. I also wanted to clarify, which if I had just taken the time to read it a few times and process what it said, it was clear. But this is an off-market property. So I made the same recommendation that I made to Janita. He should be using that in every way possible to get more cards in his hand. So right now he has a card in his hand that it's a maybe off-market seller. Right now it's just a maybe, right? So it's the color of the card is still undetermined, but it's like it's a possibility. But he should absolutely use that to add more cards to his hand. Deal of the week email, posting following the process I outlined on February 4th, and portfolio buyers with LeadDeck. So he said, thank you. It is indeed an off-market property. I'll reach out to investors in the area. So he has 24 hours at this point to come to that appointment with even more possible solutions for that seller and get the information he needs to see if truly one of the institutional buyers is going to get the end net result. And regardless of that, early next week, he's going to present those options and also, at least if it were me, present the idea or the thought that I were you, what I would do is give me 10 to 14 days to see if I can get you an even better offer than this one, because we could always default back to the one that we have in hand. And I literally will send them a Loom video and I'll even go like this. Let's put it in our back pocket, keep it as a plan B, and just give me 10 to 14 days. It literally costs you nothing. There's no cost or obligation. The only cost is 10 to 14 days. So if you can wait 2 weeks to see if we can get you more money, it could turn into thousands or even tens of thousands of additional money in your pocket. Now, I don't know the exact scenario or situation of the property, right? But just generally speaking, that's how I handle those examples and scenarios. Susan.
So I have a...
Oh, Dana, then Susan, sorry.
Oh, I'm in this exact scenario with the lead that I have. So you're saying go to the property first and get photos and all the things before you ever present any sort of offer, right?
I would, and I do, because those preliminary offers are exactly that. They are preliminary offers. And there are cases when you collect the information and you present the photos, the details, and the comps, that the offers are better. And there are also examples when they're not as good. So
Okay.
I don't want to go and present a preliminary offer as though it is a concrete, real offer, because it's not yet.
Okay. I have a meeting with one of them this afternoon, ZoomCasa or one of the others. I don't remember which one, but that's good information. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, you bet. And when you go and spend the time, invest the time, you get the photos, you're building rapport, relationship, et cetera. You're also, if ideally, when you're there, you're trying to gather more information about the totality of the scenario and situation. That way, when you prescribe or you propose what to do next, it's specific to what their problem is. And it might be QuickBuy, it might be ZoomCasa, it might be whatever, or it might be 7-day stress-free home sale, or it might be some other scenario. Let's start here. I've got somebody that I think would be a perfect solution given this scenario. He loves properties like this. He'll buy it cash as is, and you can move whenever you want. Whatever that is, the more you have, the more time you've invested with them and the more time they've invested with you, the more likely they are to do business with you. And just I want to really emphasize this point. Those preliminary offers are not concrete. So I very emphatically say these are just preliminary numbers. For me to get you the best number and offer possible, I've got to pop by for a quick tour, 15, 20 minutes. I just need to take photos, et cetera. These private clients of ours, they mandate that we actually come take the photos and inspect the property. It's not my rule, it's their rule. And you're going to kill it, Dana. I love it.
Perfect. Yeah, I was planning to get with him to come and take pictures anyways, but that's good to know that I shouldn't be presenting any sort of offer while I'm there.
I wouldn't,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
You bet. Susan, and then Sean.
Yeah, I actually contacted him as a buyer, but he became a seller. And I now have an off-market property that I have all of the information on, except for photos, because it's a duplex and both sides are rented. He has tenants there. Would I take that and get a deck of buyers, say in that zip code, and present that specific offer to them? Have you
Is that
lost?
what specific?
Instead of just using the generic, I have a private client, blah, 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 would I say I have a duplex in this zip code? Can
When
I
you're
send
reaching
you
out to the
information?
buyers?
Would you be interested? Pardon?
When you're reaching out to the buyers?
Right. 'Cause
Oh,
I have a
1,000%. More specific
property.
you can be, the more specific you can be when reaching out to either the buyer targets or the seller targets. The more specific you are, the more response you will get. It doesn't mean the more positive responses you'll get, but you'll get more responses, and then you can pivot, because remember, we're going for 3 no's. And even if it's an owner, occupant, buyer, or seller, are you interested in this property? No. Are you just not interested in this, or you're not interested in any property? And oh, by the way, do you know anybody else in the market who might be blah, 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 blah? So there's always 3 no's that we can go for when we're in conversation with people about real estate. But if you're saying, I've got this off-market card in my hand, I want to use that as a reason to reach out to the buyers using LeadDeck, active landlord, or cash buyer, or multifamily, whichever make the most sense. It's a duplex. I would probably start with the multifamily investors first, because it'll be a smaller number, and then you can move to the active landlords after that. I would say specifically, it's a duplex in this zip code that is currently fully rented. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in, or know anyone who might be?
Okay, so would it make any sense to go back to some of these that I've already pulled the cards on, or that I have the deck that never responded to anything, to go back to them with
Absolutely.
something specific? That's what I was thinking I might.
Yeah,
start off with.
100%. Absolutely.
Okay.
The guy that I ended yesterday's session with that's the whole point of this. We don't want to be, eventually, we want to get to, when we're doing step 2, we're reaching out to the warm cards that we have in our hand already. It's just that we have to put in the work to get to that point. The guy I talked to yesterday at the end of the Closers Cafe, his name is Brian. I talked to him way back in November. We had several exchanges, interactions. He's saved in my phone. I haven't talked to him in a while. I have a deal that, at least according to the buy box information that I have on him, makes sense for him, and he was interested. And also I asked, or somehow it came up, that he has a 3-unit that he wants to sell as well. So absolutely. Getting to that point is the goal, is to have so many cards in your hands that you're only going to the cold audience when you have a new piece of bait that you've either exhausted the cards in your hand, or you don't have any cards that fit.
Because I don't have a buy box that fits this right now. I don't have anything. I think that will come. The more we get, the more traction.
What do you mean by that?
I
Have
don't-
anybody currently in your hand that you know with certainty that fits their buy box?
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. One other thing, and you didn't ask this, but I would absolutely do everything you can to do this. You said it's rented and there's no
Yeah.
photos.
Correct.
I would, without pushing too hard, I would really do everything you can to get in and get photos. And if they push back on that, something that I have told them is, look, just tell them I'm an insurance agent and I'm just doing an insurance audit. Tell them whatever you want. But if you actually want to sell this thing, we have to get photos. I'm not going to post them online. I'm not going to share them publicly, but I need this information so that when I have somebody who is ready, willing to make an offer, I can give them enough information. So we're not having to, so I'm not taking 5, 10, 20 investors through and interrupting your tenants every single time. We'll only do that after we have an agreement on paper or in principle on terms that make sense for everybody. And then we'll go to that point because we don't want to disturb what you've got going on there. Because a lot of them, that is a concern. A lot of them meaning landlord owners, especially if they're doing their own management, they don't want to spook their tenants and have them start to look for because bringing a buyer is maybe, right? So they don't want to jeopardize their current cash flow and spook tenants unnecessarily. And
I
also
think that's
that
his
gives you
deal.
something, that gives you something to include. I don't remember if it was you or somebody else that said it was you yesterday that said the sell sheet kind of thing. Having the photos for the buyers that are at least curious. Also, A, you're doing the work on their behalf. B, you're helping them actually have something tangible to say yes or no to. And it's just a valuable thing that they can't get elsewhere. They can't see what the condition or what that information looks like.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sean.
To kind of go back to the pictures with the needed and our experience with institutional buyers. And I bring this up because I'm sure you're going to talk about this later, but it's something to keep in mind when at the beginning is they're always going to do an institutional buyer is going to do an inspection. So the more you can get specific in the pictures and video and show them the damage or show them the rot, the better number you're going to get up front, but also it reduces the chances that you're going to have a bigger gap when they do an inspection.
100%.
Because they're always going to be a bit, trust me, that's where they really try to make their money is after the inspection.
Totally.
And that also, you could use that with the seller, go, oh, hey, did you know about that rot? Oh, did you know about this? So when they do come back with a different number, they're already in their head is, oh, my house is not perfect. I do have some stuff I got to account for that may make that amount different. So
100%.
So when we do our pictures and videos for institutional buyers, I try to really find every dirty, bad thing about the home because the more upfront, the better you're going to get on the back end.
This is simple and maybe obvious, but when you're doing that, like Dana, when you go tomorrow, you want to have the lens or the perspective that I'm getting every possible detail so that if somebody in New York was thinking about buying this property, they could feel fairly confident in making an offer with that information. So it can't just be surface level photos. It's got to be, like Sean said, excruciating detail of everything. Usually when I do this, it's 60 to 100 pictures minimum. If it's a really rough property, then maybe more, but I don't know. 100's pretty good. The utility boxes, like Sean said, are there any cracks anywhere? Is there a piece of a roof that's whatever? As much detail as possible that someone could virtually look at it and determine this is probably the amount of work that it's going to take. We're going to need to do this and this. Because whether it's an institutional buyer or a portfolio buyer, that level of detail will be appreciated. And like Sean said, you set the stage with the seller as well. Meaning you're not beating them up about the things that are wrong with their property. Most of them already have some idea. You're just alerting them to the fact that these are the concerns that I can, from my experience, are likely to come up on their behalf. So I would rather let's get it all out in the open right up front versus having to come back and revisit it days or weeks from now with them.